Should have pre-made a glass. I'm Stephen Blackman. I work for Door Brothers Cocktail Bar in Charleston, South Carolina. Today I'll be making the classic Bouquet cocktail for you out of New Orleans, and also my riff on that called the Pommeret. The Bouquet cocktail out of New Orleans. It started back in the 1930s. It was part of the Carousel Bar in the Hotel Monteleone. There was a bartender named Walter Bergenon. He actually created this very inspired cocktail based in the Sazerac side of the cocktail world. So of course the Sazerac came first. Bouquet was a good riff on that, and it kind of leans into the factor of a little more old-fashioned meets Manhattan even. It's a very light, nice, classic cocktail, very complex and herbaceous. So in the classic Bouquet cocktail, you have a combination of rye with cognac, sweet vermouth. There's also an herbal liqueur called Benedictine, and a couple different bitters. We use Peychaud's bitters and Angostura bitters. The combination of these, once mixed together, blend very nicely together. You taste every bit of it, and then we top it off with a bit of lemon oil. So this is how you build the classic Bouquet cocktail. We're gonna start with our rye, and you can use any rye you like. In this case, we're using Rittenhouse rye. And then we're gonna go with our cognac. Again, any cognac you choose, but we're using Pierre Ferrand cognac. 3/4 ounces there. Typically people use like a normal sweet vermouth, but in this case we use Punta-Mess. Punta-Mess is kind of an Amari meets sweet vermouth, so you get a bit of herbaceousness and extra complexity out of it. Now we're gonna go with Benedictine, which is a French herbal liqueur. We're gonna go with 2 bar spoons of this, traditionally 1, but we use 2. Next up we've got our Angostura bitters, so we're gonna do 2 dashes of that. Now we have Peychaud's bitters, we're gonna do 2 dashes of that. Good bit of ice here. We're gonna give this a nice stir, and we're just looking for a bit of chill on the mixing glass itself. So once I see that chill line come up, we'll be ready to go. In this case, we're gonna use a small coupe. This is considered served up, but feel free to use rocks glass and put it over a big rock or your house ice or anything you might have. Express our lemon oil from our lemon peel here. Give that a nice rub around the rim for aromatics, extra flavor to the drink. I'm gonna dress that lemon peel right on the edge of the glass. We made it a little bit prettier. And that's our classic Bouquet cocktail. Cheers. Delicious. So now we're going to be creating our Pommeret cocktail. This cocktail is a modern riff on the classic Bouquet cocktail. It uses French-inspired ingredients, so you're going to see some change out in certain things, and I'll explain which. When we get into it, we're going to need a shaker. So in this case, we have a Boston shaker. Feel free to use any shaker you have on hand. The ingredients we're going to be using are Calvados. It's a French apple brandy instead of the classic cognac. A French apple brandy is made with apples versus grapes. So we're going to go with 3/4 of an ounce of our French apple brandy. Tying back to the classic, we're going to actually use a 1/2 ounce of our Rittenhouse rye. Feel free to use any rye you have on hand, of course. And a little different, we're going to be using Corsican Quinquina. Quinquina is basically fortified wine that's been aromatized, but also it acts very much like a tonic. It's going to add a bit of dryness to our cocktail. We're going to go with a 1/2 ounce of that. Again, tying back to our classic Bouquet cocktail, we're going to bring Benedictine back into the scene. We're going to do a 1/4 ounce of that. And then we're going to do 3/4 of an ounce of our house-made spiced apple shrub. Shrubs were traditionally made to preserve foods and also act as a bit of a tonic for health benefits. People use them as drinking vinegars. This particular one is made with Honeycrisp apples, cinnamon, clove, star anise, bit of sugar, and white wine vinegar. We're going to move on to adding 2 dashes of our Scrappy's aromatic bitters. They're cardamom bitters. Fill our tin with ice. Seal that up. Give it a nice shake. Now we're going to double strain this into our Nicanora glass. Feel free to use any coupe or wine glass or rocks glass. You're also welcome to strain this over some ice cubes. Feel free to do so. Make it your own. Then we're going to dress this with some fresh Honeycrisp apple. And there you have it, my Pommeret, which you can also find in the local Palate magazine. Cheers. It's delicious. French fall in a glass.